Welcome back to another episode. We're going to hit you with the 30 seconds just to give you a little warning and let some of our viewers hop in. But welcome back to another episode of Comic Talk. Joe, thank you once again for joining me. I love sitting here. You're one of my buds, so we're just sitting there talking comics to what we like to do, anyways. So now we do on live, and other people can hear our conversations. And whether or not they're listening, we have people that come back and they check it out because we have increased a little bit in viewers every week.
Wow.
And I love digging into looking at what new comics are coming out, and I love the fact that you're a reader like I am. So it's great if you find the hot spec book, but it's not just about the spec books. It's about what are some good stories, and hopefully those of you that listen to the show and watch the show are picking up that, hey, we do read some of these comics that we talk about. We pick books that we like. And now, of course, I pick books that I think are going to be something, and we'll look at some of that. So we'll jump right in. We're going to do a little bit of digging, but I'm excited to look at some of these books. I'm going to talk about some of the stories because I've read a few of them leading up to it. So anticipating what's going to be coming. So let's go ahead and sort of pull over and look at it. Of course, our opening. Guys, we are in episode 8 for us. So that we've been doing this for 2 months straight. We're constantly tweaking, constantly working on our what we like. If you are watching, leave comments and tell us, hey, improve on that. Keep going with that. You talk too much. Shut up. Whatever you want to tell us. We like comments. We like to hear what you have to say. Like and subscribe and all those fun things. I'm throwing this in here. What did we miss last week? What did we talk about last week? There are 4 books this week, and this won't be every week, but there are 4 books that are just ridiculously hot this week. On the two side books you have are just sexy covers that are hot. I told you about the Hughes book, the Mary Jane book. It is still sitting at $100, $115, $120. I got in a debate, Joe, with someone on Facebook, and he was like, oh, it's going to be a $200 book. And I'm like, every store knew about this book. They had to buy 50 copies. Buying it at $100, $125 is maybe it hits 200, but I just don't see that. I see it as 100. It's always going to be $100 book strictly because that's what you have to buy into it for.
Right.
I don't know. For as far as Hughes covers goes, do you think this is one of his better ones?
That's
like
solid.
I can't. It's solid. I mean,
it's not grabbing me.
Yeah.
It's got that like romance Archie kind of like feel to it, which is probably not gonna fly off everybody. Like it's fine.
Then on the right is a book I completely missed. I mean, I missed it on my list and had to have someone tell me about it. This is from Death Incorporated. I think it's number 5. There's a 1 for $25 incentive. This is by Nathan I can never say it, Zdarsky. He's known, he does naughty and nice covers. That's what I know him from doing. Not that I've ever collected those, but this book was double ratio, triple ratio. How many people are reading Deathstroke Incorporated, much less how many stores are ordering 25 copies, because the issue 4 didn't have an incentive. So it's to all of a sudden have an incentive. I don't know. It caught me off guard. I didn't even bother to look at Deathstroke Incorporated because they hadn't had incentives. So when we were doing our look last week. And also, speaking of Hughes did a Black Cat, or not Black Cat. This one, Black Canary cover for issue 1 of this, and no one cares. You can still find it for cover. So it's tricky, but I can't say his name. Nathan's covers are collectible by people who like his stuff. But the 2 hottest books this week are Thor 21 and Black Panther 3. Thor 21, I could still find on the shelf at $12.30 on local, but there's only 1 copy left. Black Panther 3 was gone. Do you know anything? What do you know about Black Panther 3?
Nothing.
And that's the thing. unless you follow spec sites and blogs, you wouldn't have a clue what's happening in Black Panther 3. This is a great 1 for 25 incentive. Once it came out that there is a new character in here, people started buying it up and ordering and buying as many copies as they could find. And there's this new character, Tosin is his name. Key collector said it. Different sites. I put it on the site or whatever, but I missed it on Thursday last week. And this book is every copy's gone. The regular covers are $25, $30 and climbing. The 1 for 25 is hitting $150 and more. So if you didn't get it when it came out, you're SOL for at least the next couple of weeks. If this character becomes something, I don't know.
Yeah, do you know anything about the character?
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard it thrown out. It could be the next Miles. I mean, I'm sorry, it takes 10 years before the next Miles becomes the next Miles. And guess what? For the first 7 of those 10 years, no one cared. I mean, you used to be able to find 3 years ago, you could find a first appearance of Miles Morales in back issue bins all the time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I paid $7 for mine.
Yeah,
and that was literally like maybe right before the pandemic. So
yeah, the last one I saw on the shelf, it was for $100, and I was like, I balked at that. I'm like, I'm not paying that. I wish I had at the time because I was like, I mean, I have a couple copies, but that's cheap in comparison these days. But Thor 21 is, and Down to Cates drives me nuts, and he does this. Little glimmer, then a full appearance, and this is the god we talked about. 20 being the god of hammers. Yeah. Now 21, and it is sort of. Have you read it yet? Evidently, I haven't read it either. But from what I understand, it is the hammer is basically talking to Thor and telling whether or not he's worthy, and delves into this entire the idea of worthy and what does it actually mean to be worthy and everything, but it's from like the hammer's perspective or something like that. Yeah. Which I don't know. I need to read it to verify because, man, when Jane Foster was Thor, she had an issue where the hammer was like the entire talking to her and guiding her. So I wonder if there's anything from that.
Yeah.
But these
it's a cool cover too. This one.
Yeah, and that's just cover A. I think I was able to pick up the cover B. Cover A was gone, 1 for 25. I know my LCS and our LCS was frustrated because all of a sudden all those spec sites said buy those 2 books, and people got blasted Monday and Tuesday saying, "Hey, you got this book? Can you put it in our box?" And they don't mind selling. They're frustrated by even their own box holders buying books they normally wouldn't buy instead of coming in on Wednesday to buy. So, and I can see that. I mean, it can be frustrating as a store to have someone, all of a sudden you don't have any copies to put on the shelf because everyone bought them before they got to the shelf. So these are last week's hotness. I don't think this week has this. I don't think this week has 4 books that are hitting $100 plus. But let's sort of dig in and look at what is coming out this week. So here's the list. If you follow us on Instagram, I throw this out there so you can get an idea of what we're talking about, what we're looking at. And we always have some extra books here and there. Amazing Spider-Man 88. We've been talking about Batman for so long, Joe. I wanted to do my Spider-Man because I'm a Spider-Man guy. Though I feel bad because I am not. You're a Batman reader. I'm a Spider-Man collector, and I've read, but I'm way behind in reading. But they've been building up this Queen Goblin for a minute, and this is not her first. I don't know if it's first appearance. I don't feel like it is because the Queen Goblin has been around. Wasn't there a Goblin Queen? Like that's where it gets tricky. There's a Goblin Queen, in X-Men, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Wasn't it what's her face? It was like X-Men 245, 240, something like that. And actually, I think when we get to the later cover, I think it's actually the Goblin Queen on the cover. But this is like Queen Goblin. And there's a design variant by Patrick Gleason, and then a 1 for 25 Bagley cover, which, I mean, I wouldn't buy unless it's a major appearance because she's not on the cover.
Right.
Like, But the design covers are nice, but design covers rarely ever have any value. I mean,
Yeah,
they're usually.
you and I like them a lot.
Oh yeah, from an artist perspective, it's great to see if this is truly how they design. Like it's one of those like I've gotten to the point now. I'm like, okay, this is not how they draw, but it is sort of cool to. As a kid, I would love this going. Oh yeah, side view of her head, front view of her head.
Right.
But so that's check it out. I think Spider-Man's getting interesting because you have Ben Riley and then you have Peter Parker's about to come back. Maybe they just proposed the issue that came out this past week. It's driving me nuts. Spider-Man every week there's a new issue. Just like Batman, it's like okay, I like once a month. Quit doing three a month or two a week, two a month. It gets costly.
Yeah, it does.
Let's look at the next Dark Knights of Steel. Have you been reading these?
I haven't. I keep meaning to pick it up, but I just haven't pulled the trigger.
Trying to see. I have issue 2. Yeah, issue 2. I got one of those. You ever do those Walmart packs?
Yeah.
They had some brand new Walmart packs at Walmart, and I was able to buy a DC one, and there was no Marvel. There was just DC. Batman '89 was on the cover. I was like, well, shoot, that's sort of a popular book. I've been wanting to read it, and inside it was a Dark Knights of Steel #2. So now I want to read it. I do like all the covers are very similar. I'm noticing. What drew me to these covers or reason I want to talk. I was reading in someone's article last week talking about comparing Dark Knights of Steel to 1602, which I know you love 1602.
Yeah, it was fun.
So this is Dark Knights of Steel sort of version of it, and that just had me thinking like, man, I like 1602 too. Okay, let's look at it a little bit, and it does make it more interesting. And I do want to read this now. I haven't been high on it before, but I am sort of like, okay, I want to check this out now, thinking through it from the 1602 perspective.
Right.
And it's Tom Taylor.
I mean, like I've been saying this whole time, this last 2 months, like I feel like the best Batman stuff is the like Batman adjacent or the like Elseworlds, like the new version of the Elseworlds stuff. Yeah. It's just infused with imagination that the main lines don't feel like they have the ability to do because they're the flagship or whatever, you know. It's got to stay rogues gallery, keeping it like real street level, but it's never even dirty enough, you know, for what I want. But this looks really good. Yeah, I really like these however you say her name, Putri covers. Like she did those Red Hood covers a couple years ago. Remember those? Oh yeah, man, those were gorgeous. I think I picked all those up.
I think I have a 9/8 of the one that to me is going to be Batman's version of Detective 880. It's like that good.
Yeah.
The one where he's pulling the red helmet.
Yeah. I remember us freaking out about those, and that's when she like first got on my radar, and I was like, okay, these are pretty dang fun. I like the cover B too, though. I mean, it's super clean and
it's Middleton, who I mean, if you follow Middleton is, I dare to say he's probably one of the most talented cover artists in the game right now. He's so diverse.
Yeah,
like him and Kari Andrews can do such a wide range of things.
Yeah.
But Josh has mastered the female, the girl cover. Like he has it down pat to make her not be sexy without being sex. And I love that. I love his covers. This is a Harley Quinn cover. He hasn't done a whole lot of Harley that I can recall. So I don't know if this could do with that bat. You remember that Batgirl cover, Batgirl 23, that just people went batshit crazy for?
Yeah.
Could this be? I don't think it could, but to me it's one of his top. It's hard to say.
It's really nice from an art standpoint. I don't know that it has the like sexy grab everybody's attention like you and I would, of course. I mean, it's got a little bit of that Saturday Evening Post thing that's going on right now too. So that's kind of cool.
One thing that might be a drawback from it is Frank Cho did a Harley Quinn for like 20 issues, and every one of his B covers were white and had Harley in the center with doing something, and that's what this feels like again. And I'm like, I love Cho. But after it's one of those like now you throw Saturday Evening Post, which is like it's being done so much now, and then you throw in the show. I'm like, crap, those things are going to be held against it from the standpoint of being, oh my god, it's amazing, just because it's not catching, it's nothing new. Even though I think it's a great cover, I love she's sitting on a wine barrel or a beer ale jug or whatever, with a little spigot on the bottom.
There's so much good stuff. Like I was thinking about that this week. Like last week when we went, or 2 weeks ago when we talked about the stuff that came out on the 19th, and it was like 4,000 books came out on the 19th, and we talked about the colors that we like, the covers that we liked, and it was like 12 of them. I mean, there's just so much good stuff out there.
Yeah. All right. Next one we have here is Batman 89, issue 5. Like I said, I just picked up Batman 89 1, which has the first appearance of a female Robin character in there. Batman 89 is, of course, the movie for us. For our generation, it was like, I remember going to the video store, and this is back when VHSs were, 6 months later, it's finally coming to VHS. And if you lose this, it's an $80 fine because, I mean, like when VHS copies were like hard, it was, I don't know, it's ridiculous to think back to, because now it's like, oh, that's store, you can get that for $0.25 on Blu-ray. But Michael Keaton, Batman, Tim Burton, who's still one of our favorite directors, and now they're doing a comic series where they're trying to original story. It's not retelling the movie, but they're taking the look and the feel of that Batman era and making a comic.
I guess the writer was connected to the screenplay as well.
Okay.
So
that's
like
really
it should like, people were like, some of the flack that it got when it first came out was well, the story seems fine, but the art doesn't look like the Tim Burton movie, and I think people were expecting it to be dark and like you could have probably gone that way, but instead it's very like a comic book from that time period instead.
All Kelly Jones.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember going to see that movie and it like destroyed my world. You know, I was 10 years old, so like it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And then Catwoman popping into 1989. That's interesting.
But it's Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. The costume matches up. It looks great. This cover A is Joe Quinos, or however you say his name. He's the main artist on it. So he does all the cover A's, and the cover B's have been different artists throughout. And this final cover B for issue 5 is Adam Hughes. This is one that I think maybe not sneak on people's radars, but it's not
It doesn't scream Hughes when you just look at it.
Yeah, you have to look at the face of Catwoman.
Yeah, which is like kind of great for him that he's like still able to kind of like do something that doesn't look it doesn't look like the one we just talked about.
Yeah,
like it's solid cover. I really like it. That hand especially, like there's some good stuff.
And see, for me, like, because I struggle because I don't want to be a Hughes fan strictly because of the sexy girl covers. Like seeing this makes me go, okay, I like this cover. And something so it makes me want to check out the series. I also do like the Hell Here. The cover A is really good too. Like that's a tough one. Where you're like, they're both actually really good covers. If you like this style, if you had a heart on for Michelle Pfeiffer back in the day. Sorry, this is PG here. No,
right.
But so yeah, I'm curious. I want to read the series now after seeing these covers and sort of reading about the book a little more. This is a book I actually have no interest in. Maybe it's good.
Really?
It's called The Monkey Prince, #1. His first appearance is not this book. There might be first appearances within this book, but first appearance actually happened in the DC special Asian 80-page giant book.
Is that weeks ago or a month ago? Was that weeks ago or a month ago? Or
longer than that. It's been September, October, maybe.
Okay.
It's been a while since it came out.
I remember seeing it. I don't remember when.
And I think they even had a second print of it. But this, I sort of like some of the covers. I really love this one for 25 by, I cannot pronounce, Anand Radhakrishna. but it's
That's
just
pretty
fun.
good.
I really do like it.
Yeah, I thought it was Rocket for it when I first saw it.
Oh yeah. And then the center one is just there's a gold foil envelope edition of cover A, basically is what that looks like. And sometimes, people like collecting those types of things. I like it just because that is a tradition on Chinese New Year. You can get those like envelopes or whatever, and they have like the gold foil and the red. So it is sort of nice to have that. And I think, did Chinese New Year just happen, or is it about? I know it comes in either middle of January or February, and this is showing my ignorance. I'm making Joe show his as well.
Yeah, thanks.
But so yeah, Monkey Prince. I know the couple stores.
Though. I know that. It's the year of the tiger, though. I know
that. This is excellent. Number one. It's the ecstatic team from X-Force turned into ecstatic in the late 2000s, mid 2000s.
In 2000s, yeah.
And Mike Allred did the art for it, and I think it was Milligan did the writing. It was like issue 116, and they ran, and then it turned into ecstatic. X-Force, then became ecstatic, then it became. That's where Dupe came from. The little blob character you see there in the center.
Yeah.
All brand new characters.
I actually like him.
Yeah, but they're all stupid characters that you end up liking. But it's all right. If you like his style, it's coming out excellent one. There's about 4 different covers, maybe 5, but there's a 1 for 25 MAC cover. I just like the fact there's a MAC cover. Like, I don't picture, when I think of ecstatic, I don't picture David Mack.
Right, that's fair.
So, like Scotty Young, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. Okay, when I was looking at this, go ahead.
Scotty Young doing Dupe or whatever his name is, like it's not even different than like it doesn't even feel like a Scotty Young because that character is so ridiculous.
What it reminds me of is High C Ecto Cooler. It looks like the freaking box to me of High C Ecto Cooler. Like, I mean, that just takes you back to your childhood completely. Like, I just want a Slimer.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely got some High C Ecto Cooler vibes.
But yeah,
we're old.
Yeah, we're dating ourselves big time, guys. So
big time.
Now we're just getting into some of the covers we like, dude. They're not as many, but this Daredevil, Woman Without Fear, is so striking.
Yeah, that's a homage to the.
I can't remember what it's the Miller run.
Yeah, I think. It's Miller Mazzucchelli or however you say his name. Yeah, it's like if you looked at them right next to each other, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, it's real good. It's real close. It's really good."
And this is my new favorite artist, Fornes, or however you say Fornes, or however.
Yeah.
I mean, just I don't know. I like homage covers done right. I really like, and this to me, I really like this. The feel, the color, everything about it does it justice.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and his style is like right in the same vein. Like Mazzucchelli is a little more economic with his mark making, but Fornes is like real close. Like it's really clean and nice. Like that cover is.
In the center, we got like last time we covered these. We covered the entire X of Lives and number one. We're just throwing up the one variant that I like, Del Auto.
Yeah.
And we actually, I'm assuming you looked at some of the covers too. They're okay. Some of the cover random, but this Del Auto is Del Auto. I mean, the downside to Del Auto covers for me is he does so many store exclusives that you can find a Del Auto image everywhere. So it's the value gets lost but there's value here because it's a 1 for 50. Yeah. So if you're a collector of Del Auto and you love having his Incino covers, this is a beautiful Wolverine cover. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Yeah.
And then you have to follow not just him, you have to follow Yokai David.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I follow.
So
because there's more process shots on that one than his official.
Yeah, and I have yet to figure out, is it Yokai David him or Yokai David his apprentice? Because
no idea.
Because I think it might be his apprentice. Like I think because sometimes you get sort of the factory feel. Like Delato
Mm-hmm.
started it and did a lot of the work, and then you can see Yokai's finishing him up. But
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but that's the one I follow.
yeah,
Because there's more processy stuff.
oh yeah, and I love following him on Instagram. But like seeing some of these works, of course, Delato's Spiderman and Wolverine. He really knows how to do our favorite characters from the Marvel universe and everything like that.
Right.
Um, then Noctera #7. This is Danny.
Yeah.
You have an appreciation for
And I love her work.
yeah.
And
This
I
is
haven't read anything. I haven't read any of these books, but if I see that, I will probably pick it up.
And there is a cover. This is like the Verge cover, and then you can get this regular trade dress, which is just have Noctera across the top. So you can decide if it's worth it to pay an extra $1 for a 1 for 10, which I mean will not really have any more value unless because by now
I
she's
just like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
those are good ones.
And then here's 3 more. I like to pick 6 covers that I sort of like. This cover over here, the Justice League Incarnate #4, is a B cover. It's my boy Fornes.
Yep.
I love, but you have where I see potential in Spec World is Val Zod is supposed to be coming. Black Superman, Michael B. Jordan wants to make it. He likes it. That supposedly all of that type of stuff. You have entire Earth too, but to find this is just a good cover, period.
Yeah.
And then you get in there, you have Thomas Wayne on his chest. I mean, I like
Yeah. It's a double whammy for sure. It's a great cover.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything in that. I don't know what it's about.
Supposedly it's about, and it touches back on the multiversity stuff from several years ago that DC did, and it's basically they like bouncing between universes and dealing with things. And so, like I think issue 2 went back to is only mentioned in multiversity where it was basically an entire universe is dedicated to image characters. So like they had their version of Spawn and their version of Savage Dragon and their version. So it's doing some of that like universe hopping type of things.
That's fun.
So I'm assuming this issue is taking place on Earth 2 because of
Yeah.
you get Thomas Wayne, you get Black Superman, and all that type of stuff. Right there in the center, it's a really disturbing cover. It's part of the reason I chose it.
Yeah.
But it's talk to me about Arkham because you said you've been reading it.
Yeah, I've been reading it. I've been really enjoying it. Danny's doing the art. Color's great. Batman is not in it.
Okay.
It's the main like protagonist is I guess a doctor at Arkham, and she's like talking to 10-Fingered Man, and they're like trying to like Azrael is in it, so that's another reason why I like it. And Danny drawing Azrael is awesome. Like,
okay.
It's like that's kind of the highlight for me. John Paul Valley is, I mean, you know, that was Knights Quest, Knights,
Yeah,
all that was like huge. So John Paul Valley was kind of Batman for me and my brother when we first started kind of getting into comics. So anytime Azrael shows up, we're excited. Terrible character, but we still like it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a few like maybe inklings that there might be new characters in this, but there haven't been. Every solicitation that you read, it kind of like is like, oh, new things popping up. But I think everybody's already, they're just kind of like I was telling you before the show, like it's Batman adjacent. Like Batman's not in it at all. So like it's Rogues Gallery, like Kite Man's not in it, but that kind of like C-level villains are popping up everywhere. So
okay.
But the artwork's really good. It's written well. Pick it up.
Then Sabertooth, just a beautiful Ryan Brown cover. Ryan Brown, I got a chance to interview him. He does some really good covers. I've definitely liked some of his stuff. It's cool to go say, hey, I interviewed him before he really blew up. Like he was on the verge, and you could tell. And now he does some. His style is still either you like it or you don't. His style, but I like his style. He I don't know. There's so many artists now that really do the digital thing. I don't know if he could do
Yeah.
anything but this digital thing, but I do like the style. And Sabertooth, I'm not sure what's going on in the book. You and I were talking. We really haven't read a whole lot of the X-Men stuff, but it's
Yeah,
an issue number one.
I read the solicitations for this and issue 2, and it was like the last thing I knew that happened to Sabretooth in the X-Men comics was that he had been arrested and they had like put him down in this like pit or something.
Hmm.
And I guess he's out of the pit. And so like I may be actually caught up with Sabretooth. Also another one of those like characters that were like huge in the 90s when I first started collecting
Oh yeah.
comics, like especially with Tex drawing Wolverine, and then that kind of turned into this like Sabretooth obsession. So pretty great character. I feel like it's one of those that I've never really seen done the way that I like want to see it done, you know?
You mean, was it Liam? What was the guy who played him?
Yeah. Liam Shiver.
Liam Shire? Oh.
Shiver? No. Yeah, like never seen it. You know, the closest is those early the early appearances, like Wolverine 10.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Like those are the ones, and then the early Wolverine, like from the
Well, they got obsessed with this fur on his back, and like,
yeah,
yeah,
his costume just kept getting worse. So,
well, I did sort of like him in Exiles.
I'm interested. I'm gonna look it up. So,
did you ever do Exiles? Because
no.
Because in Exiles, I can't remember what issue it is. An alternate universe Sabertooth joins the team, and he's like a good Sabertooth all the way through and through, or whatever. But like, his costume's not quite as dramatic and everything like that. But it might be worth reading all 102 issues of or whatever it is of Exiles.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at a few if they had a cool like cover when I saw it in a $1 box, but yeah, and I think all the Sabretooth covers look pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. That was the one that struck me as the most. Of course, I mean, I'm a Spider-Man guy, so I want to throw Savage Spider-Man at you. Ton of covers for this one. I'm not even. There might even be store covers as well. Of course, you got the homage covers. You got cover A there on the left. You got a Perez Amazing Fantasy homage cover, and then you got Spider-Man 1 homage cover with all of them Spider-Man turning into the spider creature. I think this is actually Peter Parker and not Ben Reilly. This is whatever happened to him with Kindred.
That's what the solicitation said.
Yeah, like he's turning into something. He came back too soon. Something's in him from the fight he had with Kindred, and so. But you get when you get into the incentives. Of course, the Scotty Young cover's fun. They're just sometimes I just like showing them. But this Raza has been a favorite of mine, but he is killing it, or he or she or whatever is just killing it with these covers. And this is a gorgeous one for 50 that I will try to get, and I doubt I will because I'm always reluctant to pay ratio for covers just because it kills me. And then in Huckley, another gorgeous cover. I'm curious to see. I will try to check this out just because I want to see what happens. I want to see if is he really turning into a spider, or is it in his head he's turning into a spider? Like,
right.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, especially because at the same time you have Ben Reilly, and I think you still have Amazing going on. So it'll be what the heck is going on? And I hate to admit that I am not. Especially with Spider-Man coming every week, which you go, oh, that's awesome. Not if you have a stack. When you have 20 books sitting there right beside you, it's like, oh, wait, no, I don't have. Shoot, I missed that one.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much indie stuff, that you like. Speaking of, like, there's so much indie stuff that you want to pick up and read, and then sometimes you pick up the first one, and you're like, well, I'll wait until the next 2 come out so I can like actually get a good feel. So that just keeps your stack growing all the time.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, speaking of indie, like Newburn here, issue 3, I went back. I finally read issue 1 because I was like, well, if I'm going to talk about Newburn issue 3, I got to go back and read issue 1. I actually have issue 1 and have actually 2 of the variants, store exclusives for New Bern. It's a really good read. I was telling you before the show, like,
Yeah.
I'd heard it was optioned, and I don't know, somewhere I read it, hey, it's already optioned. And then I read it and I was like, well, of course it's already optioned. Now, the tricky thing with indie books that are optioned, especially one like New Bern's a great story. It is a ex-detective cop who now is a private detective, but he's only a private detective who works for the mob. So he works for 3 different mob groups, and he basically tries to keep the peace by solving crimes so they know who to go after and how to solve. And that's what New Bern is. He's that old wise detective.
It's a pretty great premise.
Oh, I mean, easily can be a show. I mean, like I'm sitting there going, I watched Elementary, which is the modern Sherlock Holmes show, and it was terrible half the time. But I watched all the episodes because they were just great. Like New Bern, I can easily see being like a 60, like Bosch or on Amazon or something that effect. Definitely potential. If you haven't picked up issue 1, pick up issue 1 and give it a read and tell me if you agree with me or not.
Here's another one of those white covers that you're a sucker for too.
Yes,
it's like a running thing now.
Unintentional. Jacob Phillips. I mean, which I like his stuff too, and Chip Zdarsky, and that's one thing I'm getting to the point.
If it's
I need to go read everything he's done because it's just ridiculous how good. I love Stillwater. I have the trade sitting here beside me. Love Daredevil, like The Devil's Reign, like trying to think of what else he's done. Sex Criminals was his first big one, and that was actually such an amazing premise.
Yeah, you loved that. I remember when it came out. You being excited about it.
Then here in the center, this one's just enters. This is where I like to support, whether or not I end up liking the book or not. This is a contest that Image did the comic or whatever. Basically, new creative writers or something from 2019 from in Africa, and these guys won, so they got to make a comic. It's called New Masters. And you might go, well, I want to make my own comic. I just like bringing in different cultures. I like to see perspectives on superheroes from different around the world. And then actually the next book as well is going to be that sort of, and this is basically they have powers. What do we do? Like, but it's from an African perspective. So I'm curious to see what it's like, and not just it's an African writer and artist. So that brings in, and I'm just curious to see how different, or is it different, or what the feel is. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it a read for sure. Last book here, Primos #1. AWA. I sing AWA's praises, partially because they hooked me up and let me read the books early, but also they're just putting out good stuff.
Yeah, I like everything that I've read. I've read like 4 or 5 things and waited until like everything was kind of out before I jumped in. They're just solid. Like they're solid short stories that they end at a place where if they want to come back to it, they can. So you're like, oh, okay. I don't feel like this is like completely over, but it also has a good definitive like, oh, we're maybe done here. And it just opens up, in a really satisfying way. And you don't get that from Image books a lot of the time. Yeah. Like they don't really know how long they're going to go. They're like, oh, it's 5 issues. We got canceled after 2. Like, oh, it's going to be 10 issues. Well, people like it. We're going to make it 16, like that kind of thing. So it's nice that they always are like, boom, here it is.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in looking at anything they throw up.
Every time I've talked to them, like I know Image, I think you have to go with a pitch of 3, but you have no guarantees. I think everything with AWA, since it's Axel Alonso goes, here's the story I want, or they can go and pitch a story to him, but he goes, okay, I need to see the complete story. The art. So then we bring the artist. Like, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's really good. This one's has the same sort of idea. I got to read it. It's fun. What I really do like about this is the 1 for 20 or 1 for 15 variant. AWA's first incentive. So I don't know if I like this incentive as much, but it is their first incentive. So I will probably try picking it up just because I don't know how many stores are ordering 15 copies of they've been promoting this book hardcore, but most stores, ADOA is one of those places. Everyone reads it, but no one it has yet to take off in the market, like as far as speculators go, and that's what is driving big sales when you're talking 70,000, 80,000. Which it's funny, that's not even a big, that wasn't big sales in the 90s, but big sales of 70, 80,000 comics are driven by half the speculators buying up 10 copies of each one. I mean, it's not really driven by readers, because readers end up reading it online, they end up reading it on trade. I know I read half of my stuff on trade.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
I really like that character in the back.
Yeah,
the skull, like the candy skull, the sugar skull head, and then 2 pistols. Yeah, I can get behind that.
It's definitely worth checking out. Give it a read for first issue. Of course, it leaves you where you go, crap, I got to read the next issue when it comes out, because it stopped at that type of place, which they're really good about doing. The issue, like it doesn't end to where you want to read more. So let's just look at all the incentives that I've dug through. There's not quite as many as that 1 week, but there's still quite a few. They're trying up a different format. I had been just giving you the list on white sheet of paper, basically. These are basically Aftershock through Image, different ones. Not as Boom is not Boom. Every time Boom comes out with a book, there's always going to be a 1 for 10 usually, and if it's a popular book, there's always going to be a 1 for 25. They used to always have a 1 per store, and they sort of quit doing that as often. They do it, just not as often. But this right here, it's speaking of 1 per, this is a 1 per for Noctera #1, or Noctera, sorry, number 7 by Ryan Stegman. Already selling for every place I see it listed is at 115 or higher. So I'm not sure if your store will have it listed at that. I'm not, because it's weird for me for it to be a 1 per store. Then most 1 per stores end up selling for around $30 to $40. I just don't understand how this is already, people are buying this at 115, 120, unless you just extremely love this book. There might be, since this is the start of a new arc, there might be some new characters, but I don't know that. I feel like the 1 for 100 would be a little bit rarer, but maybe not. Maybe the 1 per store had some other requirement attached to it. But
do you know anything about this getting optioned? Like, I know it's been optioned, but do you know where or any of those things?
I don't. I follow Snyder on Instagram, and then I also do his. I don't pay for it. I do the free part of his newsletter, the Substack. So he sends out just enough information to tease you, to make you want to do to actually find out all the information. Him and Tinian both do a really good job of doing that. I'm like, damn it,
Hickman too, because I do that with Hickman and Lemire. So we kind of got all, like, everybody. That's
all the guys that are producing real stuff right now.
What is this? I didn't see this. Your boy Fornes on the Basilisk. I didn't see that. Is it good?
It's okay. Basilisk. That's how you say it. Basilisk.
Yeah, that's it.
I have not. I've read the first issue. Interest, but not a lot. It's an okay. It's I'm not sure if it's a 1 for 20, 1 for 25. It's an okay cover, but I didn't throw it up here because it's a virgin cover, so it's like you don't get to see any of the trade, and it's that makes it hard to, like, oh yeah, I know exactly that's Basilisk. It gets tricky with that. It's when Fornes does Batman, it's like, well, it's obviously a Batman book. I mean, he's done. I mean, let's look at on the sheet of paper here. He's 1 time, 2 times.
Yeah, he's everywhere right now.
Yeah, like he has 4 or 5 different covers. I mean, he's Momoko. I mean, you're eventually gonna get sick of him, just like Momoko wore everyone out. But yeah. All right. Here's just Marvel. We got 2 pages of Marvel, broke it up into 2 sections. This is I'm showing it, but I hate second print 1 for 25s. But I'm showing this because we just talked about the Goblin Queen, or the Queen Goblin. And now we're getting, this is what I think the Goblin Queen, this is what she looks like in Hellions 18, second print by Sokovia, which I'm pretty sure Steven Sokovia did Witchblade stuff back in the day. Could be wrong on that, but I feel like that's where I recognize the name from. Definitely when I look at this cover here for the 1 for 25 incentive, that's what I think of. I don't know what I've read. Hellions probably up to those Exo Sword stuff. I didn't read the Hellfire Gauntlet, so I'm halfway through to issue 18. So I don't know what's happening here, but I think who's a Taggart? That's who it is. Mariah Taggart or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's who becomes the Goblin Queen. But of course, X-Men people, please correct me in comments. Tell me I'm dumb. I don't know what I'm talking about. But
I mean, used to the nerds would like crucify you for not knowing something, but I think all the nerds are like we are, and they're like, it's impossible to read everything now, and there's a million years of it to go back, not just like what's coming out this week.
Finally, here's the last half of this Marvel list. You can give it a chance to look at it. Highlighting the Star Wars High Republic. Casper Wingard, he's done a few of these. I sort of like this cover. I made the mistake. I did get not in trouble, but someone called me out on it. I had highlighted Helicon Legacy on CBSI's new pull list. Didn't realize that it had gotten maybe not moved, but the previews had it wrong when I did the list the first time. It's supposed to come out this upcoming week. There's actually 2 or 3 different covers for it. There's a 1 for 25 attraction cover, which is like an image from, I guess, the ride at Disneyland.
Weird.
But you can see all the different covers. We actually talked about most of these here. So that, guys, that is your incentive list. Those are all the different covers. If you read my article this past week, I actually just covered some incentives, Secret Wars. I went down. I'm excited maybe about what's coming out, what I got coming for this upcoming article. But I do want to talk about some news because I don't know if you guys follow news, and this is relevant for Joe and I because we live in Tennessee. Did you guys hear about this? Mouse is getting banned in one of the counties in Tennessee. McMinn, Tennessee, is supposedly it's up against the school board to get banned. If you haven't read this book, this is Art Spiegelman. It's actually on a lot of schools have it on the reading list.
Oh, it's on a lot of like top 100 like books of all time.
Yeah, it's a comic book, so that's what we're talking about here. Is it Spiegelman? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
Art Spiegelman. He did Mouse and the Mouse 2, and then Between the Two Towers and several other things. If you're collecting this, and this also has been selling out because it was banned. It has been selling like hotcakes online. The only catch is the first appearances of Mouse actually came out in a magazine called Raw. It was called Raw, but you gotta be careful because there's also the Raw Wrestling. This is not the wrestling magazine. This is Raw, and then to find the issue where the first half, because it was serialized, so it's like 1 to 2 pages of it, and then so you have to get like 13 issues to get the full thing or something like that. So it's hard to find. It was already expensive to actually track it down because people that have read Mouse and put it on that high thing like collecting first appearances.
Yeah.
But the book itself is of course, you can go to any used bookstore and there's probably 20 of them sitting on the shelf. But now first print is a different story. But Joe, what do you know about this book?
Well, I haven't read it. I've flipped through it. I think it's one of those things I didn't read because everybody said it was so good. You know how I used to do that a lot.
What? No.
Yeah. There's it's this. If somebody tells me to do something, I'm like, I'm not going to do that at least for a while.
Yeah.
And I see 1,000 copies of the like trade every time we go to that one place, that used bookstore. They've got like 1,000 of them. But it's about the Holocaust.
Yeah, but it has mice in it, so it's not people.
Right.
It's the mice or the people, and then you have this entire thing going back and forth as far as that goes. It's from what I understand, the reasons they banned it, there's like 7 or 8 cuss words in the thing, which you're going, well, these kids cuss in class. Why are we now banning the book? And then there's one. I'm assuming it's one of those when they go into the concentration camp, they're stripped naked. And Joe's been drawing this entire time, guys. So not even mouse oriented, just throwing that up there.
No.
But so the entire time we've been talking, he's been drawing different characters and playing around. And yeah, that's sort of part of the reason we do this. It's sort of hard when we're talking about comics, but yeah, Mouse. It's interesting to me. It's not surprising. I mean, we know where we live. We know people get all upset and they look for things to pick on, and it is interesting that's getting banned. But from a collector speculator's perspective, I mean, I took advantage. I don't know. You remember what last year when Dr. Seuss got banned? And it wasn't banned. Dr. Seuss decided not to print 3 books that were racist because of just the way they depicted certain nationalities. Well, I actually happened to own one. I didn't realize I had owned it since I was a kid. So I took and sold it for what was $1 book to $75 like that, because I'd rather make my money on something. So if I owned Mouse, the magazine, or Raw, whatever issue it first appeared in, then I would have in a heartbeat tried to sell that and make my money, because it didn't just come in the magazine. It came as an insert. So it's not, that's where you got to be careful, because finding magazines with the inserts and being cheap are really hard to do. Because people know what they have if they put in the headline with insert, then they know, yes, and now I know it's worth $300.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of the few times I've tried to sneak something, like buy a DVD that comes with a comic and hope that the comic's in there, and it doesn't. That you go, oh, that was the reason it was only $1 versus being $25 or whatever. But so what? You're just playing around, drawing back and forth.
Yeah. Well, everything's wet, so.
So, Joe, did you hit up your LCS this week? Did you pick up any of the books that we talked about?
I did. I went yesterday. No, I went today.
Oh.
I did not get a whole lot. I got the new X-Men, and I got the new Girl Scouts. And that was
okay. Yeah, I hit up yesterday and picked up. I got the one for. I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to call ahead, but if the Once and Future's there, when I go at 12:30, then I'll buy it, because it was at ratio. So I bought the Once and Future, which is like it's the only store in town that carries it, for that we get 25 copies of it. So I'm the only person in town, I think, that actually buys it. So it's one of those. I hope I can maintain
just getting it for you.
But the store doesn't put it on hold because they don't do that for incentives. That's just so, which I can understand. It's one of those weird, like, I can't get mad at them or whatever. But yeah, I picked up that, and I picked up my Amazing Spider-Man, and I was able to grab one copy of Thor. Black Panther was already gone. I looked at a few of the other books, but nothing really.
Did you grab Saga?
Oh, that was in my pool. Have you read it yet?
No. Don't tell me. Yeah, it's in my pool at the other place. So I picked it up, flipped through it, and then was like, I'm not buying 2 copies.
Oh my goodness, it's worth buying 2 copies.
Oh shit!
It was. I wish you had read it, because I could do a review in a heartbeat, just picking through, because it to me it did what issue 1 did. Like, just knocked you flat on your ass type. Like, I think they do that with any time they pick up, like issue 19 sort of did that, but it wasn't quite as issue 1. Yeah. This felt like issue 1. Awesome. Like, and had some of the shock you things going too.
Good.
So, but it's so good. And it has first appearances in it, which, I mean, you see on the cover, but
right.
But yeah, you definitely go to your store and get it, or find it online, or whatever it is. And I love the fact Vaughn is like, just one cover. We're not doing variants. We're not doing.
I know. I wish there were more people like that. It's like Brian K. Vaughan, Robert Kirkman. They're like, this is what we're doing.
Dude, you hear Kirkman? I've heard. I don't know. It's not official or anything, but I've heard. I think I read in a Bleeding Cool article or something, or CBR. G.I. Joe and Transformers going to Skybound, which is Image.
Awesome.
So IDW dropped, or IDW's losing everything. I think it feels like Hasbro basically pulled. So now Hasbro's shopping their entities. So that could be. I mean, I don't know. I got excited, and I get excited thinking about it. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't read GI Joe. What difference does it make who publishes it?
If it's the same creative team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, what are you gonna do? Tell Larry Hama, no, we don't need you to write anymore.
Yes.
I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I haven't been reading it, so I can't tell you. Like,
I've tried. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, there's so much history too. I mean,
yeah.
I pick up essential issues, but I mean, it's hard to tell what's an essential issue.
Yeah.
And then Transformers, what's hard with them? Let's see, they do stupid things. I think I have one of them here. Yep, Star Trek and the Transformers together. It's a great cover.
Sure is.
Let's see. There you go. Great cover, but why does Star Trek and Transformers need to be in the same comic together? So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you got some new comic information that you liked. Please tell us what you like, what you think in the comments. Check us out next week. We try to do this every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern. Like I said, 8 o'clock Central, countdown 6 o'clock Pacific time. But we just talk comics. We like talking to each other. We've been friends forever, so this is just a chance for us to get together and talk. And we talk about comics, and we do it online and share with you guys. But we would love to see your participation. And as always, guys, read the new comic book they pull on CBSI. It comes out every Monday. Check out the Pressable when they drop their version, their top 10 list of new books. I give you my perspective, and since I write the list, it's sort of nice to have. And then Joe gives a reader's perspective and an artist's perspective on doing it. So we try to tell you a little bit of everything. Hopefully, we cover for every one of you that out there that likes comic books what you might like. So catch you later, guys. Thanks.
See you.